Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one we are going to do yet another Japanese sake review, as you can probably tell from the background here. And for this one, this is a sake that I've actually tasted before, and it was one that Michiko's mum bought for us to have for a special dinner, but she said I could take a little bit and review it for you guys here on the channel. So I really do hope that you enjoy this particular review, and I enjoy doing these sake reviews because, you know, Japanese sake is a very artisanal product, arguably even more handmade and artisanal than the craft beers that I normally review for you. So I'm no expert in sake, but I really love filming these reviews for you as something a little bit different on the channel. So I really hope that you guys enjoy these. So for this one we are going to return to Niigata Prefecture, which is of course very famous for its sake. There's over 90 sake shuzos up in Niigata Prefecture, and for this one, for the first time, we are going to go to Kikusui Shuzo, and this one is their Gorohachi. Now, as you might be able to tell from the appearance of this one, this is a Nigori sake, which literally means unfiltered, and this one is a bit of a monster. It comes in at 21% ABV, so this is one of the heavier sakes that you're going to find in terms of its alcohol content, but I can assure you it is very nice, and I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more of an in-depth tasting of it on this video for you. So as I've said numerous times in this video now, I really hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward a little bit. There's all the usual links in the video description below. The brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Kikusui Shuzo. This is the very first time I'm reviewing one of their things for you. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can search for beers, whiskies, sakes and whatever it is based on country, city, county, prefecture if you go into the channel homepage. Do check out the playlists of beers and stuff like that from different countries. What I'll probably will do with the sakes, with more reviews that I get filmed, I will start making prefecture lists of these, because as I've mentioned before, this is a very have product in Japan, and I think it would be quite cool to highlight that the further into these sake reviews that I get. And as always, please let me know some other sake breweries and things like that you guys would love to see me check out. You know, I really love reviewing these, and to have your input would be really great, because this is something that I'm still learning as I film these reviews. So yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery then. So on to my brewery notes. So the Kikusui Brewery is based in Shibata City, which is in the northern part of Niigata Prefecture, and it was founded by the Takasawa family back in 1881. As I've mentioned to you, there's a number of these sake breweries that are based, they're founded some in the times kind of around the Meiji Restoration, which was around 1871, 1872, if I'm remembering correctly. But the current president of the brewery itself is actually the 5th generation of the family. This is Daisuke Takasawa, and he has been, I think, running the company for a good few years now. But they say that the company has gone from strength to strength after problems such as the post-war material shortage, and then in 1964 they also had the Niigata earthquake, and there was also the Kikusui flood of 1966 and 1967, which apparently completely destroyed the brewery and just washed it all away, which, you know, is something that is very difficult to come back with. It actually reminds me a little bit of the Weihenstephan brewery when you read about the different things that they recovered from. So a very kind of persistent company, I guess you could say. They've gone from strength to strength because of, you know, crazy things that have happened to them. But this brewery, as I said, hail from northern Niigata, which of course is known formally as Echigo. I didn't know this actually. I've heard of Echigo beer, but Niigata was formerly known as Echigo, and it's known for its abundant groundwater sources that come from the melted snow on the Ida mountain range in this particular area. But the 2,000 metre altitude apparently gives the water a very soft quality, meaning there's not a lot of minerals in it, which makes it ideal for brewing. The same with beer, of course. But they also use the Koshihikari rice in their sake, which is a very popular brand of sake rice, and they say that this gives it a nice fragrance, and it also has a very nice texture, and it gives the sake a lot of its smoothness and mouthfeel as well. But interesting, this brewery also run the Kikusui Sake Culture Institute, which has its own microbrewery, which is called the Setsuguro Brewery, and this researches new brewing techniques which are shared with all the other sake breweries around Japan. And the institute has published something like 30,000 papers actually, and it's got a massive library with over 30,000 different different items on sake brewing as well. So if you do find yourself up in Shibata and Niigata, you could go and visit this and learn a hell of a lot about sake. How many of these articles are actually in English, I don't know, but I think it is actually an international condition that if you publish a paper, a scientific journal, it has to be published in English. So I would guess that there is actually, most of these papers will be in English. So maybe that's something that I need to go and check out. I would actually love to learn to brew a little bit of sake myself. It would be really cool to do a little bit of sake home brewing, if indeed it is possible, but I would guess that back in Sweden it's very, very difficult to get the correct type of rices and materials and things like that. But yeah, very, very interesting company, this one. If you are particularly interested in the history of sake and the actual brewing techniques and stuff like that, then this is a company that you definitely want to check out a little bit more. They had 7 or 8 different sakes on their website that I checked out, ranging from honjozos to daiginjos and things like this. They also had one that was aged in the snow a little bit, which seemed very, very cool. So yeah, if you get the chance to try some of their sakes, I highly recommend that you do. But let's get on to the actual tasting of this one itself. If you want to learn a little bit more about the company and the Sake Institute, as I said earlier, you can check out the brewery website and stuff in the description below. But yeah, let's get on to the tasting of this one then. So as I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is called the Gorohachi, which it says proudly on the label there. There you can see the little top label up there as well, and this one is a 21% Nigori sake. So as I mentioned, it is a little bit of a monster. You know, it's an absolute beast. I think this is the heaviest Nigori sake that I've come across ever, and as I've mentioned to you too, Nigori literally means unfiltered. It doesn't actually say on the bottle what percentage the grain is milled down to. As I say, they always take the bran off the outside of the rice grain in this one just to get the good stuff inside, but it doesn't say on the bottle. This one, I would guess it has to, I think, to be a Nigori, it has to be anything below 70%. They have to take it down to something below 70%, but you know, as I said, does not say anything like that on the bottle. So yeah, lovely presented sake, this one. There is the bottle cap on this, I haven't shown you that yet, but very nicely presented. So without further ado, let's get it out and into the glass then. It says on the back here, as you can see, just show you that kanji, Nigori sake, and you can see some of the little particles just floating around in this one. So yeah, let's do a little bit more of an in-depth tasting on this one. And as soon as you open this sake up, you know, as soon as you open the bottle on this, you are going to get a hell of a lot of a nice sweetness out of this one. I should say on the back, it does tell you, there is a little bit of a cheat sheet with this one. It does tell you a little bit about the sake itself, but of course, as I always do, I'm going to give you my own interpretation of this one. But yeah, the thing with the Nigori sakes is that they are always, you know, pretty sweet. So just bear that in mind. So as you can see, and as you would expect from a Nigori unfiltered sake, this one is pretty much very milky in its appearance. A lot of these Nigori sakes just look like a very kind of watery milk from their consistency. Nowhere near as thick, but you've got a hell of a lot of rice, just, you know, rice particles just floating around in that. And usually these are very, very sweet, but looks absolutely lovely, and nothing really surprising about this one in terms of its appearance. You could pretty much see that through the nice kind of blue bottle that we had. But let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on then. So yeah, with this one for me, this one has a good little bit of sharpness to it. It's definitely got a little bit of a kind of floral, aromatic quality to it. I think that's fair to say. There's also a little touch of acidity to it as well. It's got that almost kind of citrusy sharpness actually, but underneath that, it really is quite sweet. Again, you've got this nice ricey sweetness. You know, it's almost, one of my friends was telling me that, you know, he likes to compare some of these sakes to, or particularly the Nigoris, to pina coladas. And you know, I can see exactly what he means. It has almost that kind of creamy quality to it actually. It's a very, you know, it's a very good descriptor, but I quite like that. But yeah, to me, this one smells very, very sweet. The last honjozo that I reviewed for you, I think, was from Tochigi Prefecture, and it was quite an interesting one because it had a good little bit of earthiness to it. To me, this one just comes across as very, very sweet, and there is a little tiny bit of earthiness in the aroma, but overall, to me, mainly, this is quite a nice, sweet one. There's definitely a little bit of a floral kind of citrusy note to this one. It's got a little bit of a floral kind of sharpness to it, I would say. I really like how this one is going together. But yeah, it's got definitely, in terms of the aroma, definitely a little bit of acidity in there. There is a little underlying of earthiness, which you always get a little bit of in the sakes, but mainly, to me, this one's coming across as quite sweet. It's got a little bit of a kind of grassy note, grassy floral note to it, a little bit spicy and floral actually, which is quite interesting. And it also has, you know, that typical nice fruity note. To me, it's coming across as a little bit more sharp in its citrus character. It's almost got a little touch of a lemony quality to it, but by no means is it quite as sharp as a lemon. It's quite difficult to describe that. These sakes to me always come across as apricot in their aroma, but this one has a little bit more of a kind of pineapple-y note or something like that to it as well, which is really nice. And again, you know, a lot of these sakes, the flavour profile, if you compare this to craft beer, you don't quite have the same amount of styles and the different varieties of malts and stuff like that in the sake brewing. The flavour profile that you get is kind of a lot narrower. It's all about the subtleties and things like that, and the different rices and stuff that they use from different regions, and even the different water sources, and that really does have an impact on the flavour of these sakes. But yeah, this one to me, overall, in terms of its aroma, really quite sweet. And again, this is kind of what you expect from the Nigori sake, and quite often these taste very similar to how they come across in the aroma. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this one. So this one is the Gorohachi from Kikusui Shuzo in Shibata in Niigata Prefecture here in Japan. A Nigori sake coming in at a monstrous 21% ABV. Slanja, skull, kampai. Yeah, again, very, very sweet sake. You do get a little touch of alcohol warmth from this one. I did review one that was, you know, was it Seishu, I think it was called. Seishu was the word. Seishu is essentially the opposite of Nigori. It just means clear sake. And it was 20%, I think. This one's 1% higher, of course. But I'll tell you something, this one really covers its alcohol very, very well. You do get a tiny little bit of warmth from it as it kind of goes down the tubes, mainly later in the aftertaste. But you would drink this and you would never think that it's 21%. It really is just very, very smooth, and I guess that speaks for the quality of sake that these guys are able to produce. It really is very, very nice, this one. So if you get the chance to try this, have a go, and I'd love to try some of their other ones at some point in the future. That would make for a really interesting review, I'm sure. But yeah, again, this one is leaning towards the sweet side of the spectrum. And you know, you do expect that a little bit from the Nigoris, but you can get more kind of earthy undertones from this particular style. But this one really is one of the sweeter Nigori sakes that I've come across before. It's just very, very well done. So big thumbs up to Kikusui Shuzo on the way they've produced this one. I really like how this one's coming across. Let's try and break this down a little bit. So again, the sweet part of the sake is really coming out on the centre of your palate, and for me it's very, very sweet. There is a teeny, in the centre of the palate, there's a teeny little bit of the earthiness in there. And as I always say, the things that we should talk about when it comes to sakes, we should talk about impact, we should talk about tail. Earthiness is another thing, floral character, fruitiness, acidity as well is the other one we should talk about. Those are the 7 main things that the experts say you should talk about with a sake. So the impact of this one for me is very, very smooth. It comes in and that sweetness just rolls across the middle of your tongue, and it develops even further the further into the flavour that you go. Acidity is interesting. I don't think there's much acidity to this one. Yeah, I mean, if you pay attention to the kind of front palate, just behind the sort of curvature of your tongue, you'll feel it you'll feel your tongue kind of moisten up in there. That's where the acidic flavours in sake always come out for me, and you can feel your tongue does moisten up a little bit at the beginning of the flavour, and that's part of the impact, of course. But then it just smooths out and gives you this very, very nice sweet character to it. And as I say, there's a little touch of an earthiness kind of underpinning this one, but really the impact for me overall is sweet, and it just has a little touch of that acidity to it. But the acidity, yeah, it's there in the beginning, but it's not really playing a big role in the flavour of this one for me. This one's a lot more about that nice kind of sweet character, a little touch of earthiness just underneath it. But the floral character, this one, is very nice as well. I think I'm finding that the further and further into this sake that you go, you're starting to get a little bit more of the grassy and kind of floral character coming out at on the sides of your palate there, which is very, very nice. Yeah, I really like how the whole thing of this is going together. I would definitely stick with that. I mean, the nice grassy and floral qualities, it is a bit more grassy around the front of the tongue, and the floral qualities are just coming out on the sides of the palate a little bit. And it does give in the tail end of it, it really does give it a little bit of that kind of freshness, if you like, and it balances out the sweetness that this one has very, very well. On the fruity side of things, the fruity esters, I've always found this with craft beers, and even with the whiskies and stuff like that, and with the sakes it does exactly the same. Just behind the front curve of your palate, that's where you're going to get the nice kind of fruity esters out of this one. For me, it's got that typical sort of almost apricot-y flavour to it, but at the same time it's got something that's a little bit more juicy, maybe a kind of pineapple or something like that. And again, this sake, I keep having pina coladas in my head. My friend is really that's given me that descriptor really has made that stick in my mind. The sweetness that you're getting out of this sake really is very reminiscent of like a White Russian or a pina colada or something like that. That's what these sakes are really starting to remind me of these days. But yeah, overall, in terms of the tail end of this one, it starts to become more sweet. You get a little bit more of the kind of floral quality out of it, and it does start to get a little bit drier because of that floral quality as well. But yeah, this one, it's just an absolutely beautiful Nigori. I don't know, could I say this is maybe the best Nigori that I've reviewed for you on the channel? I'm not quite sure about that one, but it really is, you know, very, very nice in the way it goes about things, and at 21% it covers its alcohol absolutely beautifully. The mouthfeel overall of this, it has that typical slightly thicker mouthfeel, and almost I don't know whether it's right to describe the Nigoris as kind of chalky, because of that big, you know, you've got a hell of a lot of rice sediment in here and things like that, and it gives them a huge thick mouthfeel. But overall, it's just a beautiful, beautiful sake, and if you get the chance to try this, I highly recommend that you do. I think I'm becoming a big fan of these different Nigori sakes, but try this one if you get the chance. It's a beautiful example of the style, and you know, these, as I say, the Japanese sake generally is a very, very artisanal product, so it is completely handmade, and even the different batches are a little bit different. Some of them can't even tell you exactly what alcohol content is. They always say it's between 16 and 17%, somewhere around that, because the batches are all very, very slightly different. But yeah, beautiful sake, this one, and if you get the chance to try this one, the Gorohachi, I really recommend that you do. These Nigoris are very sweet, and for me in particular, this is quite a nice sweet example of the Nigori sake. So have a go at it for yourself and see what you think, but let's leave it at that for this one. So yeah, this one was the Gorohachi and Nigori sake at 21% ABV from Kikusui Shuzo in Shibata in Niigata Prefecture. A beautiful example of the style, and I'd highly recommend that you have a go at this if you get the chance. So once again, thank you for watching my reviews. I hope you've enjoyed this sake review. It's something a little bit different from the whiskies and beers that I normally do, and I hope that I can do more sake reviews for you in the future, and review more from this particular brewery as well. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys soon. In the comment section below, let me know your own thoughts on this one if you have tried it before. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Kikusui Shuzo as well, and hopefully I can get up there and visit them at some point. Niigata Prefecture I think would be a very, very nice place to go and visit. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, Slanja just now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Slanja, Skull, Kampai. Make sure you try this one, the Gorohachi Nigori sake from Kikusui Shuzo in Niigata Prefecture here in Japan. Kampai.